Every boardroom, bedroom, courtroom, and back alley, there's a game being played. It's older than laws and slicker than morality, and whether you like it or not, you're in it. The rules? They're buried under politeness and wrapped in smiles. But behind them sits a brutal architecture of control, manipulation, and survival. Robert Greene didn't invent these laws. He just gave them a name. Your job isn't to memorize them. It's to see through them before they're used on you. This isn't a self-help list. This is a psychological map of how power really moves. In silence, in shadows, and often in your own blind spots. The 48 laws aren't random. They're fragments of a system, a behavioral ecosystem. If you want to navigate it, you need to know the patterns. Not just what each law says, but what they mean when grouped together, when reinforced, when weaponized. So, before we break them down one by one, we step back. We look at the terrain from above. Here are the thematic clusters. Psychological categories that turn isolated tactics into something bigger, something living. 1. Deception and misdirection. These laws use confusion as a weapon. Keep intentions hidden. Say less than necessary. Troll appearances. They're built on exploiting cognitive gaps, where what we assume doesn't match what's actually happening. The core principle? Power isn't seized by force. It's slipped through in silence. 2. Seduction and emotional leverage. Here, power wears a smile. These laws manipulate desire, admiration, even faith. Think cults, charisma, ritual. They rely on soft influence, making people want to follow, not forcing them to obey. The danger? You might become your own illusion. 3. Dominance and fear. These are raw, crush enemies. Win through actions. Use reputation as armor. It's the power of presence, of being unchallengeable. But this dominance comes at a cost. Isolation, paranoia, and endless escalation. 4. Control through dependency. Make others need you. Starve them of options. Play both sides. These laws don't overpower, they entangle. You win not by attacking, but by becoming the only source of survival. It's subtle, and it's everywhere. 5. Strategic withdrawal and invisibility. Not all power is loud. Some of it hides. These laws advocate restraint, scarcity, silence. Disappear at the right time, let others chase. There's power in becoming a question no one can answer. 6. Psychological warfare and chaos. Unpredictability, mirroring, stirring emotions. This is power as disorientation. When people don't know your next move or your true motives, they start to crack. These laws destabilize reality itself. 7. Timing, image, and perception. Appearances aren't everything. They're the only thing. When people can't see your real leverage. These laws deal in illusion, in narrative control. Power isn't what you have, it's what they think you have. 8. Moral disguise and justified evil. Some laws know they're brutal, but they wear morality like camouflage. Generosity as manipulation, honesty as bait, surrender as strategy. These are the most dangerous because they come dressed as virtues. Each cluster works like a subsystem in the full machinery of influence. Once you see the patterns, you stop reacting. You start noticing the script behind the script. Next, we'll go inside the clusters. Not to follow them, but to dissect them. To ask what they really cost. Not just to others, but to you. Deception and misdirection. Power doesn't knock, it picks the lock. And often the quietest thief gets the furthest. These laws revolve around one thing: perception. Not truth, not strength, but the gap between what people think you're doing and what you're actually doing. That space, that shadow, is where control lives. Conceal your intentions isn't just about lying. It's about narrative control. If people can't predict you, they can't prepare. And if they're busy guessing, you're already moving. But here's the catch. Constant concealment turns people paranoid. If no one knows what you want, eventually they start to wonder if you even belong. Always say less than necessary. Rides on the same principle. The more you speak, the more they see. Ambiguity delivered with confidence creates an aura. It makes people fill in the blanks with what they want to believe. That's leverage, until it backfires and no one really knows who you are anymore. You become fog. Untouchable but also unknowable. Control the options is another sleight of hand. Give people a fake choice, this or that, when both lead to you. It's not manipulation in the loud sense, it's architecture. You build the hallway, then let them think they picked the door. Politicians do it. Parents do it. The smartest con artists do it. Use selective honesty to disarm speaks to a different kind of manipulation. Trust as a trap. One well-placed truth buys cover for a dozen lies. It's not that you're pretending to be honest. You are honest, strategically. Just enough to get through the gate. Then you strike. Historically, look at Talleyrand, Napoleon's shadow diplomat. He mastered the art of appearing weak, saying little, and letting others talk themselves into the deals he wanted. Or Steve Jobs, who said almost nothing in meetings but radiated certainty. People projected vision onto him. That became power. But here's where it gets ugly. This kind of power eats empathy. You stop listening to understand, you listen to exploit. And once you start winning through illusion, it's hard to stop. You start to believe the mask is real, that you're smarter, cleaner, safer. There's a cost to deception, even when it works. You win the room, but lose the mirror. Seduction and emotional leverage. Not all power shouts, some whispers. These laws don't conquer through fear, they slip under the skin. They don't demand obedience, they make you want to obey. At their core, they manipulate longing. Our need to belong, to believe, to be chosen. They don't control your body, they control your heart. Court attention at all cost isn't just about being flashy, it's about scarcity. People chase what they notice and ignore what blends in. So you craft a persona, a walking spectacle. Bigger, louder, more mysterious than the noise around you. But here's the thing. You're not selling truth. You're selling the idea of yourself. And the more people buy it, the harder it is to tell where the performance ends. Play to people's fantasies goes deeper. It doesn't just offer attention, it offers escape. Most people don't want reality. It's too raw, too demanding. So when someone gives them a myth to believe in, something cleaner, simpler, more beautiful, they cling. You become their oasis, their story, their cause. That's seduction in its purest form, not lust, not flattery. Purpose, manufactured and sold with a smile. Work on the hearts and minds of others is the softest weapon. It's emotional intelligence turned sharp. You don't argue, you don't force. You make people feel seen, feel safe. And when they do, they follow. But this isn't kindness, this is strategy. You're studying their fears, their hopes, their pressure points, not to comfort them, but to own them. And then there's create a cult-like following. The most dangerous of them all, you give them rituals, symbols, enemies, you become the center of their emotional universe. And once you've built that gravity well, they'll fight for you even when you've stopped fighting for them. That's not leadership. That's dependency dressed as devotion. Think of Jim Jones, or Elizabeth Holmes, or charismatic warlords, preachers, influencers. Doesn't matter the era. The blueprint is the same. Offer belief where there's confusion, confidence where there's fear, identity where there's drift. People will trade almost anything for certainty. But seduction is a double-edged game. The more followers you gain, the lonelier you get. Because no one really sees you. They see the myth. And if the mask ever slips even once, everything you built starts to rot from the inside. The deeper you go into emotional control, the harder it is to know whether anyone loves you or just the spell you cast. Dominance and fear. Sometimes power isn't subtle. It doesn't seduce or distract. It dominates. It makes people flinch before they even think. These laws operate in the open, but with the cold precision of a scalpel. They're about asserting control by being undeniable, untouchable, and unchallenged. And the people who use them don't ask for permission. They don't need to. Crush your enemy totally leaves no room for second chances. The logic is brutal. If you leave even a single ember, it will reignite. Mercy is a liability. Restraint, a mistake. This isn't metaphor, it's war logic. The scorched earth kind. And it works until it doesn't. Because the more you destroy, the more quietly people begin plotting your downfall. Fear is effective, but it never feels like loyalty. Win through actions, never through argument. Plays on dominance through proof. Don't talk, demonstrate. Don't explain, impose. This avoids debate by making it irrelevant. But here's where it twists. Action-based power builds awe, yes, but also resentment. Every time you show someone up, you remind them they're smaller, and sooner or later, small people organize. Reputation is everything, weaponizes perception. Be feared without lifting a finger. Let your name do the work. But reputation is fragile. One slip and the facade cracks. And when people realize you're not invincible, they don't forget. Ask any dictator toppled by rumor, any CEO whose mystique dissolved under scrutiny. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter is about breaking resistance through decapitation. Eliminate the strong voice, the charismatic leader, the backbone, and the rest will fall. It's effective. It's also cold-blooded. You're not defeating ideas. You're removing people. And once you get used to that, it changes you. Historically, these tactics echo through every imperial conquest, every organized purge. Stalin didn't negotiate. He erased. Genghis Khan didn't argue. He obliterated. These leaders didn't just want victory, they wanted silence. No threats, no rivals, no memory of opposition. But there's a psychological toll here too. The more dominance you demand, the more enemies you make. You stop trusting anyone. You sleep with one eye open. You build walls, not alliances. And eventually, someone on the inside brings them down. Power built on fear always leaks. Because no one mourns a tyrant. They just wait for the right moment to turn the knife. Control through dependency. The most elegant power doesn't look like control. It looks like necessity. These laws don't dominate. They bind. They make people rely on you so deeply that breaking away feels like self-destruction. This isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the only one that matters. Make others dependent on you turns relationships into leverage. You offer value, but not too much. Never enough for them to walk away. You become the provider, the fixer, the silent architect of their stability. And once they need you to function, you don't need to ask for control, you already have it. Get others to do the work, but always take the credit, is parasitic brilliance. You harvest loyalty, talent, labor, but keep the spotlight. It's exploitation disguised as delegation. The system rewards you, the people resent you, and you walk away with the legacy. But every person you step on remembers the bruise. When asking for help, appeal to self-interest drops the illusion of altruism. No one helps you because they're nice. They help you because it pays, so you stop asking for favors and start offering deals. But this mindset spreads until you don't trust kindness, until every human interaction feels like a transaction waiting to be priced. Control the cards is the long game. Give people choices, just not real ones. You make the rules. They pick from the menu. It looks democratic, but the outcome was rigged before they arrived. In politics, it's called narrative framing. In relationships, it's emotional gatekeeping. The trick is making them feel free while tightening the leash. Think of powerful middlemen, the ones who never speak first but are always in the final room. Think of the toxic boss who keeps you half promoted, half dependable, or the emotionally manipulative partner who gives just enough love to keep you loyal, but never enough to feel safe. Dependency doesn't scream, it whispers. It convinces people they can't survive without you, even if they never needed you to begin with. But there's rot beneath the surface. You can't build anything real with people who secretly want out, who fantasize about freedom every time they smile in your direction. Make people need you, and you'll always be watching the door, waiting for the day they realize they don't. Strategic withdrawal and invisibility. Not every move is forward. Not every show of strength looks like presence. These laws draw power from restraint, from silence, from the art of not being there when people expect you most. They understand something primal. The more we see something, the less we value it. And in a world addicted to noise, absence becomes currency. Use absence to increase respect and honor, flips the usual script. Don't flood the room, leave it. Let your silence become a question people feel compelled to answer. Suddenly, your return isn't routine, it's a moment. But if you vanish too long, you're forgotten. Too short, and the mystique never forms. It's a delicate balance. Scarcity, not disappearance. Always say less than necessary lives in the same shadow. Silence isn't just a lack of words, it's a form of control. You force others to reveal themselves, to fill the quiet with guesses and confessions. Power flows to the one who speaks last and listens first. But there's a danger here. Say too little, and they start writing your story without you in it. Plan all the way to the end feels cold, but it's essential. Don't move until the entire path is lit. Every action sends ripples. If you don't see where they land, someone else will. But this kind of long-range thinking creates a new trap: paralysis. You can plan so much that you forget how to act. You wait for perfect timing while others take imperfect power. Assume formlessness is the final evolution. Don't be a target. Be water, change shape, dissolve expectations. The moment they define you, they prepare for you. So you vanish, you adapt, you become unreadable, but living like this erodes identity. You're always shifting, always dodging. And at some point, you may forget who you were before the mask. These laws favor the patient, the invisible, the ones who don't crave the spotlight but know exactly how to control it. They thrive in uncertainty, not because they like chaos, but because they're never caught standing still. But behind this elegance is isolation. If no one can pin you down, no one can reach you either. You become mythic, but also alone. Power built on absence creates distance. The higher you rise, the quieter it gets. Psychological warfare and chaos. Some people fight with fists, others use confusion. These laws are about disorientation, unpredictability, and mental pressure. They don't aim to outsmart, they aim to exhaust. To make others second-guess themselves until their footing slips and you're already 3 moves ahead. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Predictable people are easy to manage. You can anticipate them, plan around them, neutralize them. But throw in one irrational move, one unexpected silence, one sudden shift, and now they are the ones adjusting. They become reactive. And reactive people don't lead, they scramble. Mirror your enemies isn't just mimicry, it's psychological strangulation. You reflect their behavior so perfectly they begin to question themselves. They can't find your pattern because it's their pattern. And when their reflection starts mocking them, it triggers insecurity, anger, confusion. That's not power through dominance, that's power through collapse. Stir up waters to catch fish is chaos as a strategy. Create mess, trigger emotion. Make the environment so volatile that clear thinking becomes impossible. While they're tangled in drama, you're setting the terms. But it's risky. Chaos cuts both ways. It requires precision, or else you drown in the storm you started. Think as you like, but behave like others sounds simple, but it's lethal in quiet rooms. Hide your mind. Smile when you're seething. Let your ideas grow in the dark. People don't attack what they don't detect. But the longer you pretend, the harder it is to switch back. And one day, you may forget what you were even hiding for. These are the tactics of shadow players. Not warlords, not kings, but advisors, handlers, spin doctors. People who never take the throne but make sure it tilts in their favor. They don't need credit, they just need control. But there's a psychic toll. You can win through manipulation, but at the cost of real trust. You become a strategist, not a person. And once your mask becomes permanent, even you won't recognize the game from your own reflection. There's a difference between being unreadable and being lost. Timing, perception, and spectacle. In the theater of power, it's not what you do, it's when and how you appear to do it. These laws understand that reality rarely matters as much as perception. You don't need to be powerful. You just need to look like you are at the right moment in the right light, with the right eyes watching. Master the art of timing is more than patience. It's control of tempo. Move too fast and you look desperate. Wait too long and someone else takes the stage. The trick is in sensing the emotional weather. When people are most hungry for action, most ready to follow, most vulnerable to suggestion. It's not luck, it's calculation. Create compelling spectacles as showmanship turned to strategy. A bold gesture, a symbol, an illusion of grandeur. It overrides logic. People remember images, not arguments. So instead of convincing them, you overwhelm them. It's how emperors used gold, how cult leaders use ritual, how marketers sell salvation in a bottle. It's not subtle, it's primal. Make your accomplishments seem effortless, ties into mystique. If you show your struggle, you humanize yourself and lose the illusion of superiority. But if your wins look easy, people attribute them to talent, destiny, divine favor. And then they chase you. Not because of who you are, but because they think you know something they don't. Disdain the things you cannot have shifts the power dynamic by rejecting what others covet. You refuse to compete. You act like you've already won. And that confidence destabilizes everyone around you. What you ignore, they obsess over. What you discard, they fight to keep. It's not detachment, it's weaponized indifference. These laws don't require truth, they require performance. You are a character, a brand, a narrative in someone else's mind. You're not playing to reality, you're playing to belief. And if you can control belief, you can move nations. But be careful. The longer you maintain the illusion, the harder the crash when it breaks. Because once people see the strings, they don't just stop believing in you, they feel betrayed for ever having believed at all. When your power is built on spectacle, every curtain call carries the risk of exposure, moral disguise, and justified evil. Here's where things get murky. These laws dress themselves in virtue, but underneath, it's still leverage. It's the most insidious form of control because it feels righteous. You're not manipulating, you're being honest. You're not exploiting, you're just being generous. But look closer. These are not acts of goodness, they're setups. Use selective honesty to disarm isn't about integrity, it's about timing. You show a little vulnerability, a little truth, just enough to drop their guard. And then when they think you're safe, when they think you're good, that's when the real move happens. Honesty becomes camouflage. A clean hand hiding the knife. Use the surrender tactic is moral judo. You lose on purpose. You bow. You yield. And the other side thinks they've won. But behind that surrender is calculation. You're buying time. You're letting them get comfortable. And when they least expect it, you move. But here's what makes it dangerous. It teaches you to enjoy manipulation that feels like peace. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Sounds like wisdom, but it's a way to pacify people. Keep them thinking something's improving, when really nothing is. Offer just enough movement to prevent revolt. It's how bad systems survive, by pretending to evolve. Appear humble, admit small flaws is image control. It's not about authenticity, it's envy management. If you look too perfect, people sharpen their knives. So you show a little weakness, just enough to seem human, but never enough to actually risk anything. It's the practiced vulnerability of someone who's already won. These laws work because they exploit a simple truth. People want to believe you're good. They want to think the world is fair, that power can be noble. So when you weaponize morality, you don't just manipulate their behavior, you hijack their values. And that's the line you have to watch. The more you justify your tactics as just playing the game, the more you erode the part of you that remembers why the game feels wrong in the first place. Sometimes the most dangerous thing about power isn't what it takes from others, but what it slowly takes from you. How to defend against these laws. You've seen the blueprint, the game behind the game. But now the question flips. How do you survive it? Not just by using the laws, but by defending against them. Because whether or not you play dirty, someone around you will. And if you don't see it coming, you're the mark. Start with awareness. Most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they don't know a game is being played. Someone flatters you? Ask what they're avoiding. Someone surrenders too easily? Ask what they're waiting for. Behind every move, there's a motive. Behind every gesture, a structure. The more you see the patterns, the less likely you are to fall into them. Silence is your ally. Let others reveal their hands first. Power games thrive on reaction. Emotional, impulsive, loud. But if you pause, observe, wait, the real players get uncomfortable. They can't read a still face. They can't exploit someone who doesn't flinch. Guard your emotional triggers. Manipulators look for what you crave. Recognition, safety, purpose. Then they offer it on a string. If you don't know your own needs, someone else will package them and sell them back to you at a cost you don't see coming. Don't confuse charm for character. The best manipulators seem warm, curious, generous. That's the mask. Watch how they treat people who have nothing to offer. That's where the truth leaks out. And most importantly, decide what game you're willing to play. Because once you step into this world fully, it changes you. You can win, you can rise. But each move chips away at something. Trust, empathy, peace. Not all at once. Just enough to make you ask years later what it cost to sit at the top of a table built on lies. Power isn't evil, but it is addictive. And if you don't anchor yourself in something deeper, values, meaning, actual relationships, it will swallow you. Because when everything becomes strategy, nothing feels real, not even you. So stay sharp, stay human. And remember, the most dangerous players are often the ones smiling the widest. That's the real lesson behind the 48 laws of power. Not how to use them, how to see through them, and decide, when the time comes, who you're willing to become.